Hey guys, it's Di, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about and share my reaction to the news that Walt Disney World has an opening date. Hooray! So I wanted to share this video as, of course, you know me as a Disney mom and a Disney fan, and our family really loves going to Disney. So I wanted to talk about my thoughts about it, our reaction to it, and also what our future plans will be. So first things first, the news just came out this morning. It's probably old news by the time I get this video edited and put this video up, but the news just came out this morning. So as of what I know right now, the proposed plan for opening Walt Disney World has been approved by the Orange County Task Force. I watched that on YouTube this morning, and they were doing like a live feed of their meeting. And the plan is for Walt Disney World that they'll do a phased reopening. Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom will open first on July the 11th, and then Epcot and Hollywood Studios will open second on July the 15th. Now, it's not released on the My Disney Experience app yet, but they did talk about it this meeting. You definitely want to have, if you don't have it by now, you need to have the My Disney Experience app downloaded on your phone. If you have an upcoming trip, or even if you're just curious about how it's going to work. So they are going to be implementing a reservation system to reserve your days at the theme park as one of the kind of crowd control measures that they're going to do. So it's not currently on the app as of this morning, but I expect to see it probably maybe even by the end of the week, or sometime soon. So it's now May 27th, so they've got about a month and a half to get to that kind of opening point and have all of the kind of issues worked out and all of that. So I expect them to probably roll that out fairly soon so they can test it. So that was one of the first pieces of information that came out, other than, of course, the dates. I know a lot of people have been asking about resorts. I think that they will probably release that information at a different time, but because I don't think the resorts were necessarily one of the entertainment venues closed by all of the orders, I think that they'll probably release that information on their own as opposed to having to present it in this task force meeting. So there's that question that I've seen come up a ton. And so as the parks reopen and you have to reserve your time in the different parks, that's going to be one of the ways that they social distance. They did also show some of the different signs. They're going to be encouraging mobile ordering. So again, having this app on your phone is going to be super important. We've done mobile ordering a little bit, but I'll be honest, there's been times when we could have used the mobile ordering and we decided to stand in line anyways. So it seems like now that's definitely going to become an even higher importance to kind of have that system down. It's very easy to use. It's just a matter of sitting down with your family, looking at the menu on your phone, and then picking out what you want to, have. And it's all linked together with your Magic Bands. So the system is already in place for it to work. It sounds like the Fast Pass system will still be, a thing that exists and is being used at that point. So if you have an upcoming trip, I would still stick to the regular dates of reserving your Fast Passes. The big things that did come out of it, the information today, and this is probably the biggest things that I have reaction to or get the feelings about it. So of course the initial reaction that they have an opening date and we know a date is yay. And I was honestly not that surprised to the July dates. I really felt like people that were planning trips in June that it wasn't gonna happen. I wasn't surprised by the July dates. I felt like it was maybe even a little earlier than I thought it might be. I was kind of thinking maybe end of July, or I could even see August. But I wasn't surprised by the July part. And I wasn't surprised by the next piece of information either, that any activity that is not conducive to social distancing will not be a part of the reopening. Now, I don't, I did not hear this part, the wording of how he said it. I'm sure he said it way more eloquently than I would say it, but it's not a part of the reopening. I don't think this means it'll be gone forever, but right now when we have to be concerned with social distancing, it's not going to be a part of the reopening, which means parades, fireworks, and character meets will not be a part of the reopening. And at the same time, while I was not surprised by that, it still breaks my little Disney heart because, we love character meals, and I have no regrets over doing all of the character meals that we've done in the past. We really, really love them. We've enjoyed them so much. It's such a great hack to be able to go into the air conditioning, see these characters, and it's kind of entertainment and meals at one. But I completely understand why character meets and character meets while eating just cannot go on in this environment. I expected it. I knew it was going to be a part of it. I just felt like it was going to, but it still hurts a little bit to kind of hear it or see it in black and white, you know. So that has been confirmed today. So no parades or fireworks because of the gathering and kind of conglomeration of people that happens when those events happen. I think that those elements will get added back in the future, but it's going to be after this whole pandemic situation is over. So how long that'll be, your guess is as good as mine. But I completely agree with their decision, as much as it, you know, kind of makes that little piece of me sad to know that those elements are going to be different. I agree with it. I mean, there's just certain things that make staying away from humans, other humans, really, really difficult. And an event like that where you have to crowd together to see something, there's no way you could maintain 6 feet between parties. And then also for meet and greets, you know, protecting the performers is a real thing, and that would expose their performers to a lot of things that they didn't otherwise need to be exposed to. That being said, I did see at Shanghai Disney when they opened, it wasn't that characters weren't present at all. It's just that you couldn't go up and actually physically touch them or hug them or anything like that. They had them located like up on balconies and things like that, so they'd make appearances almost. And I'm trying to think of how it would work at Walt Disney World, to be honest. I know that they will work that part out because the characters are such a big part of the experience. I have no doubt that they will work this part out, that there will be appearances in some form, but it won't be greets, if that makes sense. You won't actually be able to walk up to them. At Shanghai Disney, they had them like up on a balcony where they were kind of waving to people, welcoming them in. I assume they could do something similar if the train station was kind of blocked off where people couldn't go up the stairs. You could do something similar there, maybe at the end of the night, waving people out. Again, that'll be, you know, their arena to figure out, but those are just kind of my thoughts as a Disney fan. And then kind of moving on to what that means for us. Oh, the big thing, the big debate I have not mentioned yet in this video. Masks are required. I don't know why this has turned into such a thing. You know, if you told me you can wear a mask and potentially save someone's life, I think that that is the least that I could do to be helpful to my community. I don't know why it's turned into a thing. I get that some people are not able to do it and medical exclusions, and you know, small children, babies are exempt. But for your average customer, I think the majority of the people are able and will be required to. It is part of the requirements. So masks will be required to enter. They'll be doing temperature checks on the way in. This is all similar to what they rolled out in Shanghai Disney. So really not a lot of surprises as far as the protocol. They'll have special signage and special, you know, standing spots like a lot of us have seen in our local stores. So all of that is kind of on par with the situation that we're in right now, and it doesn't surprise me a bit. The mask part, now for me personally, I'm a hot natured person. We've gone in July, we've gone in August, and it is absolutely crazy hot. Like you feel like you are standing on the surface of the sun. It is not my favorite time of year to go because of the heat in general. This is when we started adopting the midday breaks. That trip we went in July, because it was just so hot. We would go in the morning, take a break in the afternoon, either go swim or hang out at the resort for a while, and then go back in the evening when it cooled off a little bit. Anytime we go during that time of year, mask or no mask, that is what we would have to do. It's just insanely hot down here. Alabama, Georgia, Florida, it's just hot that time of year. It's hot and it's uncomfortable. So they did mention there being places that guests might be able to kind of go take a break and like take a break or reprieve. But as a general whole, if you're going during that time of year, you just got to plan for it being hot and current conditions wearing a mask. And I think that's going to be across the country going to be required at establishments that are hosting a large number of people. Cooling towels and fans and literally any sort of portable cooling device will be your friend if you're planning on going at that time of year. And that goes for visiting regardless of what year it is, whether it's 2020 or not. Cooling towels are what got us through that July trip. So that being said, July and August would not be my first choice to visit, just, you know, time of year if I get to choose at any point. In general, it was lower crowds than we'd seen at other times of the year. But that being said, I really enjoy going during Flower and Garden, which is in the spring. I really, really enjoy going during the fall for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And, you know, asterisks, I don't know what's gonna happen with the parties this year. I'm assuming they'll release information in the next couple months as we know more about the opening in general. So for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, those are my two favorite kind of event types to go to in addition to Flower and Garden. And fireworks, parades, and characters are a big part of both of those. So I don't know what those are gonna look like this year. All that being said, the question that I asked of myself at the beginning, will we personally be going in Current Magicians? So first of all, we don't have a trip planned, and since our February trip, we have not had a trip planned since all of this started, but we didn't have one planned in general. I kind of had in my mind, so the first thing is I was wanting to try a Halloween cruise. That's out, and obviously the cruise lines are not even running right now. But due to my work circumstances and Dan's work circumstances, because cruises kind of box you into having to be there certain dates, you can't really work them around your own break a lot of times. Cruising for us is completely out this fall, regardless of whether they're running or not. It's just not an option. Going to Walt Disney World, this year, it was supposed to be the brilliant year for holidays, right? So 2020, like Cinco de Mayo, which was also my birthday, was on Taco Tuesday. Halloween is on a weekend, and it was supposed to be this great holiday year. I know, it's even funny to say now. And the whole year just turned into one long holiday. But for Halloween, I still have this tiny little hope that maybe we'd work out some sort of fall trip, but I really don't know. With my work situation kind of being up in the air, his work situation, he's working from home, but it's just kind of an uncertain time. And then also with the kids' school, we really don't know what fall is going to look like yet. We're going to have to play it by ear. I really love to take the kids back and go to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party at least one more time. I would love for it to be on Halloween night, but we have to work with what we have. I thought that this year might be the year. That's kind of what I had in my head, back when this year started. But obviously this year kind of took a turn, and so I don't know what it's gonna look like for us. So to answer more specific questions, will we go back to Disney World? Yes, absolutely. Would we go back in the middle of a pandemic? / would we wear masks? That's kind of a two-part question. So I feel like, well, first of all, would I wear a mask there? Yes, absolutely. And if I don't want to wear a mask in July or August, I just wouldn't plan my trip there in July or August. July and August are uncomfortable months for me just in the South in general, and I live in Alabama, so it gets hot here. It gets hot. So my preferred time to go is in the fall or spring. But would we go in the fall? Would I wear masks? Yes, I would wear a mask. I get my cute little Disney mask, and I would bring multiple masks for myself, for my husband, for the kids. We would don our mask and we would go to Walt Disney World and, wear a mask. Going to Walt Disney World in the middle of the pandemic, what I might change there is a lot of what I started doing with our February trip when this was all kind of starting to simmer. I brought masks with us in February, actually. I mean, I had them packed in our case. We never used them, but I had them in case we got uncomfortable in the airports. So wearing masks, yes. Lots of extra hand sanitizer. That one's a difficult one because hand sanitizer is hard to find. But I would definitely want to have travel hand sanitizers on all of us and try to do as much hand sanitizing and hand washing as possible. I mean, that's really the big thing, is washing your hands. Little things that we probably should have done up to this point, but had not, like not touching the remote in the resort room, like putting it inside a baggie and using it inside the baggie. We would probably start trying to do things like that. So if you haven't heard any of those types of tips, I'll start trying to kind of collect those so I can share those as well. But there's a lot of great tips, like don't wear no shoes in your resort room, any resort, any hotel, anywhere. Don't touch the remote. you know, there's a lot of different tips like that that you can bring your own disposable cups if you're so inclined. I actually use the disposable cups over the glass cups a lot of times in resorts where it's an option, because I'm always afraid I'm gonna drop the glass cup on the sink. It hasn't happened ever, but now that I've said that out loud, it might. But I always like using the disposable cups just because I feel better about if I accidentally drop it. But you can always bring your own too. Bringing your own hand soap, liquid hand soap, which is something we've done on the cruises before, because a lot of times they have had bar soap historically, but if you have bar soap, I'm not a fan of bar soap just in general, so we'll throw that out there. But everyone's touching it to cleanse their hands, and anyhow, I prefer liquid soap. So these are things that I would probably do to change our trip going forwards. That being said, the earliest I see us back there is probably the fall, and there's so many variables that would affect that, including my job situation, my husband's job situation, the kids' school situation, being able to travel across state lines, that, you know, would impact our decision. Would I consider a trip in the fall or spring to Walt Disney World if things are as they are now? Yes. Now, if cases start rapidly rising here in Alabama and like we turn into the next New York or something like that, I wouldn't travel for a few different reasons. One, because of just the traveling and you have to stop and all those different things, but I also wouldn't want to take anything anywhere either, if that makes sense. So travel is very up in the air right now, and I guess that's the other thing I will mention as far as how things might be different when we go back to Walt Disney World in the future. So our past couple trips, you probably have noticed we've flown. It works easier as far as being able to get down there quicker, and I just prefer flying when I have the option because I, you know, get tired when we're driving at a distance. And, you know, you can kind of just go to the airport and put it on autopilot, no pun intended, and, you know, get to where you're going. All that being said, flying in the next year or so, we would probably just drive it. I would probably not go out of my way to fly to Walt Disney World in the next year or so. So that may be another thing that we end up changing to what we would have done otherwise, you know, given the situation at hand. So I think people are doing the best that they can with the information that they have. I am excited that they're reopening. I hope it's a successful reopening, and of course it makes my heart happy to know that there's, you know, going to be magic in the land again. For not trying to get too cheesy, but you know, for Disney fans, it was gut-wrenching to see all of these locations closed. So I'm very excited to hear the reopening plan, to know some kind of firm dates and some target dates going forwards, and just know that it's an option. So even if we're not able to go the rest of the year, it's just kind of nice to know that it's there and it's reopening and it's an option. So I hope that everyone that does have a trip planned will, you know, do the best to abide by the guidelines and do the best social distancing that they can, because I really think that's what's going to help mitigate the situation, is people listening to the recommendations that are being put out by medical professionals and trying to limit, you know, touching of things and transferring of things and shaking of hands and all those things that humans do that transfer germs. And hopefully that's what's going to get us through this fall and winter. So let me know when your next trip is planned down below. Let me know your thoughts and when you're thinking of going again. These are just my personal opinions and all subject to change, of course, based on conditions changing. But as of today, with, you know, news just being released and kind of the situation at hand, that's kind of how I feel about it right now. Our local area has done a really good job at kind of having people stay home and people abiding by the rules. And our very specific area of Alabama has not had as big of an outbreak as other areas of Alabama, and so hopefully that will continue. So we'll see what the fall brings. We'll see what future travel there is. I know we'll be back at Walt Disney World at some point. It's just a matter of when it will end up being. So let me know your thoughts and what you're planning on doing down below, and I will see you in more videos coming up very soon. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.